So, as a mighty fan base, I'm assuming that we're all in agreement with this one, right? This is exactly the appointment we wanted as a group, right? This is what we wanted. We asked for a new coach with zero experience at the top level as a head coach, somebody that's actually younger than our captain. This is what we wanted. This is what we asked for, isn't it? Isn't it? I do not understand. I don't get it. I have one question. Just one question, and that is it. But seriously, why? I don't get it. Now, things under Tony Smith weren't perfect, but he won us trophies. Things under Steve Price weren't perfect, but he won us trophies. Things under Darryl Powell weren't perfect, but he won us the first 8 games of the season. That's something. So we've gone from top-class renowned coach to highly respected top-class coach to fairly respected okay coach to not a coach. I don't know about you, but that feels like it's going backwards. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I'm the type of person that likes to look at the positives. I'm struggling to find them, but I will try to extract as many as possible. But let's go over the articles that have been released by the Warrington Wolves and South Sydney Rabbitohs. Looking at the article announced by the Warrington Wolves, they said Burgess will join the wire for the 2024 Super League season, having agreed a 2-year contract. Following his retirement from a decorated playing career in 2019, Burgess has transitioned into the coaching setup at South Sydney Rabbitohs, currently working as an assistant coach for the NRL side. As part of the review of the rugby department, Gary Chambers will be promoted to Director of Rugby. He will have an overarching responsibility for the rugby department from first team downwards. Chambers will remain in interim charge for the remainder of the 2023 season before taking up the new role. Richard Marshall will remain as head coach with a further update about a second assistant to be announced in due course. Sam Burgess said, "I am pleased to confirm I will take on the role of head coach at Warrington Wolves for the seasons 24-25. Burgess also said, "From playing in the Super League to having the opportunity to lead an incredible club, it's a full circle moment and one I am fully committed to and excited by. I want to thank Simon Moran, Stuart Middleton and Carl Kiss-Cam-Fitzpatrick at the Wolves for their courage and collaboration as I look forward to returning to England to coach this great club." Warrington Wolves chairman Stuart Middleton added, "We're thrilled to have Sam join us as our new head coach. He's an impressive, young, determined coach with a huge reputation within the sport. He was a leader for both club and country at the highest level throughout his playing career and is extremely well driven to now make his mark as a coach in Super League. The ambition he has for the club and the culture he wants to instill really impressed me and stood out during his interview process. We firmly believe he's the right man to take the club forward. We're delighted also that Gary Chambers has agreed to become the club's Director of Rugby. As part of our review of the rugby operations, we feel this role will be strategically integral to both the short and long-term success of the club." So now let's move on to what the South Sydney Rabbitohs said in their article. The South Sydney Rabbitohs congratulate club legend Sam Burgess on his appointment as the head coach of the Warrington Wolves for the next 2 seasons. Burgess, a premiership winning player with the Rabbitohs, is currently an assistant coach at South Sydney and will remain in this role until the end of the season before heading back to the English Super League to become the head coach of the Warrington Wolves for the 2024 and 2025 seasons. Later on in the article, it goes on to say, "On behalf of everyone at the Rabbitohs, we wish Sam and his fiancée Lucy the very best of luck when they return to England. We hope that sometime in the not too distant future the Rabbitohs can take on the wire in the World Club Challenge." Sam Burgess thanked the Rabbitohs for their support of his move to the UK and also said to Russell Crowe, Blake Solly and Jason Demetrio and to the stakeholders of South Sydney, "Thank you for supporting me in taking on this new position. We still have an opportunity to play some great football for the remainder of the season, and to do so alongside our current staff and squad is my focus." Later went on to say, "To the South Sydney members, the greatest fans of the game, I thank you for always being behind me. I will carry that support I feel from you wherever I go. This is not goodbye, but see you all soon." So let's just go over the quick negative and we'll just go right into any positives that there are. So the negative is that he doesn't really have much experience as a coach. That's it. He doesn't have much experience. It's only one negative, but it's like the worst negative you can have. He barely has any experience. I mean, a negative worse than that is that he's an awful coach, but we don't even know how good he is as a coach because he's barely had any experience. But trying to extract any positives we can. So it does mention in the South Sydney Rabbitohs article, and I did a little bit of research myself as well, that he became the head coach of Group 2 Rugby League side Aurora Valley Axemen. Now, from what I could find from that team, basically the year he took over, he was challenged by Russell Crowe to take over this team and try and get them to playoffs. They had no players 3 weeks prior to the start of the season. No players. And the facilities, even for an amateur/semi-pro team, were just awful. There was issues with flooding. So no players 3 weeks prior to the start of the season. He takes over the team and gets them to the grand final. They did get battered in the grand final, but he still took them to the grand final. I believe there are 5 or 6 teams in the league. So for me, like, the bare minimum he should be doing there is probably winning that competition, but I can give him a pass because they didn't have a team for 3 weeks prior. And he's just come in, first time as a head coach, and he's got them to the grand finals at least. So I will take that as a job well done, I guess. Then he comes into the South Sydney Rabbitohs as an assistant coach, taking on the defensive side. Now, looking at the overall stats of the Rabbitohs this season is not a pure indication of how good Sam Burgess is as a coach, but at least gives an indication of what coaches he's around. So far this season, the Rabbitohs have played 21, they've won 11, lost 10. In terms of points for, that's 516, that's 5th best in the league, and against is 436, that's 6th best in the league. So that's probably the best marker to look at is defence, if he's getting involved with the defence of the Rabbitohs. 6th best in the league is okay. It's nothing special, but it's at least good. 6th best out of 17 teams is at least good. They're also in 8th place right now as a team. They did have an incredible run of like a 5-game win streak, and the last few weeks it's been a little bit dodgy for the Rabbitohs. But I do think the Rabbitohs are a good team. They have some decent coaches around them. I think it's at least a good marker to say that Burgess is around some decent coaches and can pick up some good things. Another thing as well to potentially consider is that he's a young coach, completely fresh, has a bunch of new ideas and new concepts that he wants to try. And this is a great opportunity to try them. Personally, would have preferred if he'd at least had more experience at a championship club or somewhere in the Queensland Cup or the New South Wales Cup with like regular experience. Now, what I do hope for him for the rest of the season is that we see increase in performances from the Rabbitohs. That would be a good start. And also that the Rabbitohs give him a bit more hands-on responsibility to kind of prep him for the role and say, look, this is what you need to be doing as a head coach. These are the things you need to focus on. He's probably picked these things up over the years from his playing career, had different coaches and knows how to operate. But here's a more hands-on experience that you can take into Warrington. That's what I'm hoping. Now, the only other positive I see from this is that Wayne Bennett wanted him at the Dolphins for this year. So that's at least a positive sign that somebody like Wayne Bennett has seen Sam Burgess, possibly knows what he's about as a coach and as an individual. Certainly speaks to him as an individual, the fact that Wayne Bennett wants him there. And especially a rebuild. Like, the Dolphins aren't really a rebuild because they're a new team, so it's a new build. But the fact that he wanted Sam Burgess there to be part of that new build is a good sign. So, in terms of the positives, Sam Burgess has had some experience coaching as a head coach at, yes, an amateur or semi-pro team and got them to the grand finals. Good start. Goes into the South Sydney Rabbitohs and is working with coaches that have put their team in finals for the last couple of years. shows that there are at least decent coaches that Sam Burgess is around. He was also wanted by Wayne Bennett for the new build of the Dolphins for this season, for their first year of the NRL. And finally, is a new coach with potentially fresh ideas. And actually, last point, he's a big name in Super League and the NRL. He's a big name. So maybe that allows us to attract other big names in the NRL and around Super League, possibly. What kind of atmosphere he's going to create around the club, I have no idea. Is he going to be hard as nails? Is he going to stay distant from the players? Is he going to try and become best mates with them? I don't know what his style is. I get the impression he's just going to be a nice guy, gets on with the players, has a good time. I don't think he's going to be like stone cold like Wayne Bennett or Craig Bellamy, for example. I don't get that impression. But there are some positives or some things we can try and take as a positive. But for me, it's really, really difficult to get excited about this. Really difficult. So, the club also mentioned about bringing on an assistant coach. Another one. There are two that are available. And those coaches happen to be Sean Long, who I'm actually okay with, by the way, and Andy Last. Great. I really don't know how to feel about this. I'm not excited by it. As much as I can try and pull positives out, it doesn't excite me at all. Now, I'm not all doom and gloom about it, because I know that he could come in and do a great job. Like, he could be a great coach, but it doesn't excite me. But I guess we'll see. Now, if he was brought in as an assistant coach, and say other names like Josh Morris, someone that we'd been looking at, or whoever is the current Newcastle Knights coach, who was rumoured because they thought that that's where Holbrook was going to go to. If they'd been brought in and then Burgess was the assistant coach and then maybe takes over in a few years, great. That's a potential option I'd be happy with. But the fact that we're just throwing him in there to a club that is desperate to win trophies is, to me, very, very strange. So I'm not so negative about it, but I'm certainly not excited about this either. Now, Warrington Wolves mentioned about bringing in an assistant coach. I would be fine with Sean Long. The other option available is Andy Last, which I don't want. Sean Long is available. One of the best number 7s in Super League history. One of the best overall players in Super League history. And I think with, hopefully, Josh Drinkwater out of the way, Leon Hayes takes in the number 7 role, and he can learn from Sean Long. There's only one other player in Super League history that I know that Leon Hayes would be better learning from, and that's Rob Burrow. But Sean Long is a coach. He's done a great job at Featherstone. Some absolute crap, absolute nonsense that they were spouting in the article of why, he left. Yes, it was mutual consent, but just the whole article was nonsense, really. But if we bring him in as assistant coach, I'm fine with that because of his experience as a player and now as a head coach and a coach at other clubs as well. So I'm okay with that. But I will conclude this video by asking any Wire fans that watch this, who would you like to see as the assistant coach? Are you happy with this appointment? Did you want somebody else? What are your thoughts? Let me know. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.